So we all know the importance of getting a 5-star review. And a lot of times those bad reviews will happen even before the client steps into your property. So this is a video where I'm going to go over the most important things about the check-in process. This is actually video 3 of my check-in process series. Video 1, I go over on detail the check-in instructions in your listing and how to set that up. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. And in video 2, I do a live walkthrough of what it looks like for a client to check into this unit that I'm actually sitting in. Now I want to show you something directly in the listings to see what the clients actually look at before they even make the reservation and before they even receive the check-in instructions, which I think is very important. By the way, I'm Esteban. I'm a 6-year Superhost based out of Costa Rica, and I hope you enjoyed this video and you can learn a lot from it. This is what it looks like for hosts when they're putting their listing together. And just to do a little recap here in the arrival guide, this is what I went through in video 1. I actually went in detail about the check-in instructions, which is here, and the check-in method, which for this property is lockbox. As you can see here, the check-in instructions I have for this unit is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 steps in this check-in instructions with pictures and descriptions. I'm not going to go over this in detail because I did that in video 1. So check out video 1 to get more details on that. Okay, so this is what your client will see when they look at your listings, right? Because I'm putting in the view of what the client sees. And you can see the title, the pictures. This property has a really beautiful pool, so that's a big, big plus. Shows the room, the living room area. But what I wanted to show you is here, they will see this information here, right? It's a 4.88 stars. People always look at the stars, so it's a good unit. It's above 4.8, which is what you need to become a Superhost. All right, I'm a Superhost, 6 years, as you can see here. And then it goes into the descriptions. This is very important, showing how many bedrooms are in your unit. In this case, 2-bedroom, and showing the pictures. Sometimes I've gone into Airbnb listings and they don't even have those pictures. Airbnb allows you to do this. So take advantage and use all those opportunities to showcase your unit because the client has never been here. So this will help them start to see what they're renting. All right, so let's go here. This is the part I wanted to show you. As you can see, these are the things they're going to rate you on. Okay, this is what's going to make you have a 5-star review or less. They can actually give you, less than a 5 stars in these areas and leave you a 5-star overall review. But I want to focus on this one, check-in. In this unit, I have a 4.9. It's not perfect, right? It's not 5. But I believe that the check-in process is where people either give you a 5-star or not. And what do I mean by that? If the check-in process is smooth, you're pretty much halfway home with a 5-star review, right? So as you can see here, I have 88 reviews in this unit, and most of them are 5 pretty much, some 4 and 1 3. It's okay. You're not going to get all 5-star reviews, but especially at the beginning, if you're starting a new listing, you have to work really hard for your first reviews to be a 5. Because if you get a 3 or a 2 or God forbid a 1, it's going to be really hard to get those, reviews back up for you to be able to be above a 4.8. So here's, some of the 5-star reviews that I've gotten in this unit. But let's go back here again. So check-in 4.9, they're going to rate you on these things: cleanliness, accuracy, check-in, communication, location, and value. Check-in, to me, is the most important one. As you can see, I have 5 in accuracy, 5 in communication, and the rest is less than 5. But this is still a pretty good unit because it's a 4.88. It says guest favorite. But I really believe that if this check-in is not done correctly, it will affect the rest. All right. So let's go into a message just to show you what I'm talking about in terms of, we already talked about the checking instructions itself and the actual live walkthrough. Let me show you one of the conversations I had with a client. In this case, David. He's about to book this unit and he says, "Hello, Esteban. My name is David." And then he says, "I've never been to Costa Rica and I'm looking for a place I can relax. Your place looks nice for a first timer. I hope for some advice. And guys, thank you for your consideration." And then I received the request, as you can see, and then I accepted the request. So the reservation was made. automatically this message will come out. They'll get a automatic message once they make a reservation. Hi David, thank you for your reservation. For faster communication, you please send me a WhatsApp message, and I put my WhatsApp number and a WhatsApp link. Here in Costa Rica, people use WhatsApp. Internationally, WhatsApp is used. If it's text, then you can put your phone number for them to text. I do this because I want to make sure if they want to write me a message for whatever reason right away, they can. They don't do it usually. So don't worry, it's not like you're going to get swamped with messages, right? But allows them to see this message and feel comfortable. Like, all right, I just rent this place. In my case, this is in Costa Rica. I've never been to Costa Rica. I have no idea. I hope this place actually exists. So it allows them, if they want to touch base, they'd be like, hey, and this is what they do. They'd be like, hey, Esteban, I just made a reservation, at Candelaria, which is this unit. I'll be like, hey, it'll be a pleasure to host you. That way they feel like they actually contacted the person that's actually on the listings, because, there's been scams and people are afraid of that they're actually going to get what they're, buying. So this has helped me make them feel comfortable. And then I say, you will receive detailed instructions one day before your check-in. So I tell them that the check-in instructions are coming. I'm not going to give them to them right away because it's too soon. One day before, nice and fresh, when he needs to, be thinking about checking in, he'll get all the detailed instructions. And then I put, if you're arriving in your own car, please notify me to have the garage control ready for you inside the unit. I don't really need for them to tell me because I already have everything set up for them to be able to get the control and open the garage gate. But this is just a technique that I use just to double check to see if they're coming in a car, or if they're coming in a taxi or Uber or whatever. I rather them tell me because it allows me to the day of the check-in, know what's going to happen. If they're going to come with a car, I got to make sure that the control is in the unit, right? And if they're coming in taxi, I got to make sure they get to the right place. And that's why the location that I send them in maps, here you go. You can find the location in Waze under Candelaria, located, in Calle Matamoros. And then I send them the link in Waze. Here in Costa Rica, it's not as easy to find properties. It's not like every property has a number and everything is like perfectly signed in terms of roads. So I need to make sure they don't get lost. I want those 5-star reviews. And if they get lost and they're driving around for an hour finding the place and it's at night and they're tired, they're going to be upset. And believe me, they're going to remember that when they're leaving a review, and they're going to be like, everything was great, lush gardens, the beautiful pool. Right now I can hear the birds singing. And they're going to love all that, but they're going to be like, my check-in was terrible. So I'm going to give them a 4-star, right? And then that's not the point, right? So I make sure that they know the first message they get is kind of to make them feel like really good. All right, I have his number. I can contact him right away. I know exactly where I'm going. I can look it up right now if I want to. It's very clear. I don't feel uncomfortable. I actually feel relaxed. And then I say, I look forward to hosting you in Pura Vida. But here is the important part. He actually made a question. I see this happening a lot in Airbnbs because we have all these automatic messages, which are great. It makes life for hosts really easier, a lot easier. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to communicate with your host, with your client, anymore. And I see this happening, because of those automatic messages, people stop communicating with them. So since he asked a question here, he says, your place looks nice for a first timer. I hope for some advice and guidance. So I reply, hey, David, it will be a pleasure to host you. This unit is inside a large property with a large swimming pool and a lot of open areas and gardens. In town, you'll be able to find anything you need. Let me know if you have any specific questions before you arrive. And then he responded, thank you very much. Search for a place is a bit overwhelming. I'm glad I found your home. How far are you from the airport? See, he was overwhelmed. He's never been to Costa Rica. He finally decided on my unit. So I'm making him comfortable, right? Believe me, this is not what happens in all cases. It's not that I'm chatting with all my, my clients. Some ask questions, some not. In this case, I want to make sure he feels comfortable. This is part of the check-in process, in my opinion, because he's not even here. He hasn't even checked in, but this will make his check-in process easier when he finally arrives, so he knows everything. So then I responded, it's about 35, 45 minutes from the airport, depending on traffic. And he says, okay, I will be working Monday to Friday. My wife will be there for 2 weeks, hoping to like it down there and perhaps make it an annual venture. So he's like chit chatting. And I'm like, sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds like a good plan. Sorry. Sounds like a good plan. I'm like, all right. Because I don't want to keep having too much conversation. I just want to answer what he's asking and move on. Then this happened initially. Then later, he writes me another message saying that he works remotely and he has some questions, right? Is the internet reliable? And then he says, I've heard that power outages happen in Costa Rica. Can you tell me if this resident is impacted by it? And if so, how often? Finally, might you have connections nearby where I can rent a bicycle or electric bike? Okay. So I respond. We have Starlink Dish, which is 100 plus megs. For Costa Rica, is pretty good. It would only shut off when the power goes off. I'm always honest. Be honest. Say everything up front. Don't hide anything. Yes, all of Costa Rica will get power outages at some point, mainly because of weather. They usually don't last very long and power comes back quickly unless something major happens in that area. Everyone in the property, guests, and our family use the Wi-Fi for work and there's no problem. So I kind of just throw that in there to make them feel comfortable again. There's a local bike shop nearby you can check out when you're here. Again, I answer the questions, right? Then the day before he comes, he gets this message, which is the check-in instructions. So, hi David, in preparation for your arrival, here's the check-in instructions. Once again, the location, I send that in the first message, but I'm sending it again. And then I write here, do not use the location provided by Airbnb, is not as accurate and will send you to a different location. Very important. This has happened to me very many times here in Costa Rica. I don't know if it happens to you, but the Airbnb location sometimes is not that accurate. In a lot of places like the US, it's easy because if the address is 1234, number of the name of the street, people will get that. They'll find it. They won't miss it. But sometimes they click on the link that Airbnb provides and it gets them lost. So I write that to make sure that they use this location that I provided, this link, and not the one provided by Airbnb. And then I go ahead and put the information about the check-in instructions, the lockbox code, and go over these details. This they will find in your check-in instructions in the actual app. There's a place where they can actually find those pictures that I showed you earlier. But I like to repeat everything just to make sure if they read it in one place, not in the other, they have the information. I talk about parking, what they need to know about parking, and then where the control is going to be to open the garage. And then I talk about the Wi-Fi. This is the check-in instructions, right? So I have it in both places. I write it down in this message, but I also have it in the check-in instructions part in the listing. So don't just put it in the listing and then forget about sending a message because people will ask you a lot of questions. And remember, you need to make this super smooth for them to give you a 5-star review. Then I give them the Wi-Fi information and I say, we really care. We want to earn your 5-star review. Please let me know what we can do to make your stay better and earn that review. So I let them know I'm working for that 5-star review. Let me know what I can do so you can give me that 5-star review. I'm asking for it even before they even arrive. Again, feel free to reach out to me via WhatsApp, and then I put the WhatsApp link. I also put an email there in case they want to email. Some people rather use email. So I wanted to show you that about the messages because messages are also important and part of the check-in process, in my opinion. So I know the Airbnb app gives you all those features for them to get all the information and make sure you have all that information very detailed, like I showed you in video 1. Pictures, descriptions, step by step. I think I had 7 or 8 pictures. And this is very easy to get here because there's a door. They walk into the apartment, they grab the control, they park their car. It's very easy. But I still have like 8 pictures step by step, and you can look at that in that video and with descriptions because I don't want them to mess it up. And they've said that this unit, they've always thanked me for very clear check-in instructions. And even though I do a really good job in the check-in process in this unit, as you saw, I still have a 4.9, which I'm happy. Now, getting a 5-star in checking is hard because people are just uncomfortable and they just think that, everything needs to be perfect. But believe me, the checking rating is usually lower in most units because people just say, hey, show up. here's my address, here's the lockbox, and then people have trouble, and then they don't think that the client has never been to your property, in this case, has never been to the country for the first time. So I try to make it so easy for them that when they get here, they're like, wow, this was easy. I'm already having a good time. I'm here at Esteban's place. Let's have fun. But if they come in, maybe they were lost for 30 to 45 minutes and they just couldn't find the keys, they're going to be upset, believe me, and they'll remember that. Right. So I just want to simplify it. It's not that difficult to have a very smooth check-in process, but pay attention to it. Use everything that Airbnb has in the app for information about it. Make sure you reply to those messages right away and make your client feel comfortable. I have a check-in message as soon as they make the reservation, just kind of, thank you for making the reservation. But then I had that information in there, my number and then the location, so they know kind of where they're going. And then the check-in instructions, one day before the client checks in, they'll get a detailed check-in instructions in the message. But remember, the other place to have the check-in instructions is in the listing. So now you have two places where they can refer to. And I've had clients who use both. So make sure it's very detailed. Your client will definitely appreciate it. And if you're looking for the 5-star review, this is the first time your client will come in contact with you and your property. So make sure you make it a very smooth process for them to come in. If you're finding this video helpful, please like and subscribe so you can help me grow this channel so I can make more videos about this. I can help you become a super host. And if you've already been hosting for a while, leave us a comment on how you do your check-in process and how this can also help all of us improve. All right, till next video, put ya.